All right, just give me a thumbs up when it's rolling. Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Michael Rogers and I'm the moderator for Go Ahead and Ask, our monthly First Presbyterian Church of Farmington's video Q&A with our interim pastor, Bruce Mulder. As always in each program, Pastor Bruce answers, well, he tries to answer, he tackles answers to the questions. Easy questions, tough questions, all kinds of questions we get from our members here at the church, questions they have about the Presbyterian faith and about Christianity in general. You can find past shows by going to our First Presbyterian Church of Farmington website and clicking on the Watch on Demand videos, or by navigating to our YouTube page. You can submit questions at our YouTube page. You can hand them to me or Bruce, or you can email them to the church office and we'll add them to the list. Now, I hope you're ready. We got some good questions this month.
I am ready. Hi, Michael. Good to be here.
It's good to have you back. So the Bible says that if you follow me, you will have everlasting life. So what is everlasting life?
It's a very Johannine concept, but it's a biblical concept. Life is here, now, following, a new life, a different way of living. For the follower of Jesus, it's different. Jesus is your allegiance. Everything else is second or farther behind. And then also in the same way that when we die to this life, as we all will, we will be raised again as a new body, just as Jesus, when Jesus was raised from the dead, he wasn't just a ghost or a spirit, he was a person, he was a body. Remember that he told Mary, "Don't touch me yet." And I think in John's gospel, Jesus is on the shore eating fish and the disciples run into the water and to go be with him. And so that's I'm trying to think of the word, not the precursor, the forerunner to what happens to us. We will be raised as new bodies, glorified bodies that, no longer have any afflictions. So cancer, arthritis, heart disease, gone.
I was struck by reading accounts of Jesus being resurrected and then appearing not to his disciples, just his disciples, but really a lot of people saw him.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a refutation to people who claim, well, the resurrection was a fable and didn't really happen.
Right.
But contemporaries, people actually saw him and touched him and witnessed his wounds and so forth.
Yeah. That's why I like Thomas, because Thomas is the one who, in a way, lets all of us off the hook. To some degree, he says, I'm not going to believe this until I see it. Mm-hmm. And I can be like that. I think a lot of Christians can, and it's okay. Because Jesus, I don't know, maybe, I don't hear it as a consternation like, you have little faith, but he does say to Thomas, go ahead, touch, go ahead, it's okay. He says, and he does. So I find comfort in that, find hope in that.
So circling back to everlasting life for a second, we see depicted on TV shows, cartoons, God on a throne with robes and happy people. Maybe they have mansions, maybe they have shacks.
Yeah.
Is that a thing? Is that a way station? Do we wake up to everlasting life, resurrected in the body, or what? How do we kind of get a grasp on that concept?
That's a great question. For we as biblically Reformed Presbyterian people, we're not really sure what happens to us when we die, whether we're immediately with Jesus or we wait until we're resurrected. What we do take comfort in is in the Romans 8 text that nothing can separate us from the love of God in Christ, including death. So in some way, shape, or form, we're always with Jesus. How? Who knows? Is heaven like what's depicted in popular media? Probably not, and it's not like what it is in the book of Revelation with streets of gold and all that. These are imageries for us to try and describe the indescribable. Heaven, the kingdom, when it comes in its fullness, it's here. It's earth. It's in Revelation, Jesus coming back here, God coming out of heaven, from the heavens, not necessarily up, but in, God coming from the heavens onto earth, renewing it, making it all new, and saying, I'll be your God. I will dwell here with my people and creation, all of it being restored.
as you and I have discussed before on the show, this can sometimes only be described through poetry and metaphor.
Right.
And it's kind of a futile task
Yeah.
to try to boil it down to objective empirical facts.
Right, right. You know, Psalm 98, which is the basis for, what's the Christmas song? Not Ode to Joy. One of the more, Joy to the World. Mm-hmm. That's the basis for Psalm 98 or that's the basis for Joy to the World is Psalm 98. And the author there gets at the idea of God's coming by what? Was it rivers clapping and trees? All of the imagery of creation celebrating with human style, clapping and celebrating. Can't really put it into words, but that's what it's going to be like, is creation recognizes that, wow, it's going to be redeemed. Paul talks about this in Romans 8 too, that all creation waits. And the verb in Hebrew means it's craning its neck. You know how you like do this to see something? That's kind of the imagery Paul is using. It's like creation's like, okay, waiting for the kingdom to be here in its fullest because it understands it's going to be renewed.
Why did God reveal himself to the people of the Middle East? Now, why not Asia or India or Native Americans or someplace?
No idea. I mean, initially going back to the Abraham story, I have no idea. I have no idea. Maybe God did before Abraham and we don't know about it. I don't know. Yeah, it's a great question. I have no answer.
It may contribute to the interest in making contact with aliens and finding out, did God reveal himself to little green men on Mars?
You never know.
Alpha Centauri or something.
I would think in some way, as vast as the universe is, there's got to be some other form of life out there somewhere, I would think.
Mm-hmm. Last month you said that God does not punish us by bringing natural disasters, fires and hurricanes, volcanic eruptions. But what about human-caused climate change? Do you think that God is going to punish us for messing up his planet?
I don't know if God's going to punish us, but we certainly see the end results of it. We see more devastating floods, the hurricanes, the flooding in North Carolina, more forest fires that are longer in duration and bigger in size. The other day in Grand Rapids, it was the first Monday in November, and it was 72 degrees. It's like, how many more one-offs do we need until we realize? So I don't think God's going to punish us, but there will be repercussions of what we're doing.
I read a lot about the Civil War, and I'm struck by President Lincoln, who apparently was not a particularly devout Christian, but still was strongly influenced by the Bible. And he often said that the Civil War was God's punishment or consequence of the sin of slavery, and that both the North and the South were going to have to suffer because of it.
Yeah, I could see that as, certainly the chattel races, the chattel slavery we had here, no question is sin. And we're still reaping the whirlwind of it, But yeah, I would agree with Lincoln that the Civil War was a consequence of that sin. It wasn't God saying, okay, I'm going to let them have a war to teach them a lesson, but it certainly was, well, you all are doing this, and here's, maybe not inevitable, but here's a possible outcome, and it happened, and as you know, 660,000 people died because of it.
We're kind of on a streak here of tough questions. I promise we're going to get to some more lighthearted ones as we go along, but what are some possible strategies for accomplishing what maybe is the most difficult of Christian tasks, forgiving our enemies?
Ooh. Oh, that's hard. If you've ever been betrayed or truly deceived or undeniably hurt or crushed, that's probably one of the most difficult things to do. And I forget where I read it. Was it C.S. Lewis? Someone talks about, in the same way you don't become a runner by first running a 10-mile, first thing you do is you stretch out and maybe walk a mile and do a little jog walk. Same thing with forgiveness he talks about. Start small, forgive as you've been forgiven, and kind of live your way into it. It's really hard. And then you get to the difference between, okay, well, yeah, I can forgive somebody, but I don't want to reconcile with that person. I'll forgive them, and you hear people say this, and I have learned it's true, that I'll forgive this person because I'm supposed to, and I find the benefit is I don't have to think about it as much now. It's that 50-pound monkey that was on my back for however long, and now it's gone. By the same token, for me, having done that, I have no desire to reconcile. I understand who this person is. I forgive you, but I don't have a desire to, go grab a burger and a beer with you anytime soon, which doesn't mean I don't love you. I still want good things for you in your life, but just not with me. But forgiveness is hard, really hard.
Last week I was in the parking lot at the grocery store, and I'm backing out, and some guy yelled at me. He didn't like the way I was backing out, and I got so mad. And I tried to calm myself and say, no, he's not an enemy, but I tried to calm myself and say, maybe he's had a bad day. His dog bit him on his way to the grocery store or something. And, I'll try to pray for him, to help him, pray that he can help control his anger and rudeness.
You're better than I am. Because,
it helped a little bit.
Yeah, my immediate response is, hey, moron, pipe down, pinhead. Yeah. It's hard. I mean, it is really hard. For me, it's one of the toughest things about being a Christian.
As a minister, I'm kind of paraphrasing a question I got emailed to me. Can you just baptize anybody off the street? If somebody walks in, can you baptize them, or do they have to go through a procedure or demonstration of worthiness? I'm not sure where this question was leading to.
Let's look at it first from a Reformed Presbyterian perspective. And by the way, I'm using the Reformed Presbyterian because they're the same things. The Presbyterian Church is the Reformed Church in Scotland, so they're the same thing. They're the same denomination essentially. For us, we would say, we're not just going to baptize you. We're going to sit and chat with you and talk about it, because we understand baptism to be a covenant, not just between the person or the people who are either being baptized or bringing someone to be baptized. It's between them and God. It's also between them and us. There are these four parties in it. And part of the baptism is we ask the person or the parent or the adult who's having someone younger being baptized, will say, do you intend to teach this child, or as an adult, do you intend to learn and to grow about who Jesus is, etc.? And we do that in front of the whole congregation, not to guilt anybody in it, but just say, hey, look, you're not alone. And then we ask the congregation, hey, will you all walk along with this person? I'm not a parent, but I can imagine raising me was no joy. And, you want someone in the same way you want someone to help you out being a parent at times. In the church, you absolutely want other people to be in on the formation of either you as an adult or as an infant as you grow and become a follower of Jesus. You don't do this on alone. Community is incredibly important, so that's the foundation of our understanding of baptism. It's covenantal, and God initiates and we reply. Can we baptize anybody? Yeah, there are always extenuating circumstances. If I were in the hospital and I was visiting someone who just had a baby who was stillborn, and they said, would you baptize? Yeah, absolutely. Always going to err on the side of grace in those circumstances. You're not going to say, well, let me think about this theologically. You're going to say, well, of course, love this person and bring some semblance of comfort to them.
So, I like that phrase, err on the side of grace.
Yeah, I learned that from it's not original, but I learned it from my friend Tom Bartha, who was the pastor of the church where I interned. Yeah.
Well, it's November. We've got Thanksgiving holiday coming up pretty soon. How do you celebrate Thanksgiving?
It varies. Some years it's just been Gene and me. Other times it's been usually with family. It's the typical 8, 10, 12, 20 people and a turkey, and eat too much and then sit around and say we ate too much and then go back into the kitchen and have a turkey sandwich, and yeah, that's pretty much the routine. Nothing out of the ordinary.
So is there a Christian perspective on the meaning of Thanksgiving, or is it just kind of a secular holiday?
Well, you could say for the Christian, every day is a day of gratitude, or every day is a day of thanksgiving. I don't know that our Thanksgiving is necessarily religious or secular. I forget how it even got established, but it's a day, nothing, in my world, nothing, wrong or right about it. It simply is. And if you choose to celebrate it, go for it, be grateful.
It's not really popular with the turkeys, though. They're not giving much thanks.
No, they're like, oh, it's that time of year again. Herb? Oh, well, where's Herb? Oh, he's okay. Herb's not around anymore.
Like I've read, life is great for turkeys. They get fed, they get cared for, and then all of a sudden,
Oh, yep, exactly.
off with their heads.
Exactly, yeah.
Yep.
And they never know it.
Yep. Talking about forgiving your enemies, Thanksgiving dinners and holidays can be fraught with potential conflict, especially maybe in an election year where there's differences in opinion on the direction that we're going. And you mentioned err on the side of grace. I guess that's probably especially good advice for when you're trying to deal with cantankerous relatives who don't agree with me.
Exactly.
Why can't you see the light?
Yeah, why don't you be like me?
Yeah, exactly. I think things would be great then.
That's hard, especially given our situation now in this era. If it happens, I hope it doesn't happen. That's my biggest thing, is I hope that topic doesn't come up. I'd rather talk about taxes or religion or whatever. I would rather not talk about that, because it can be such a, what's the word I'm looking for? It can be such a divisive.
Yeah, contentious.
Contentious, that's an even better word. And, I've read some stuff where people say, oh, I haven't spoken to so-and-so in my family because, and it's something to do at a family meal over politics. And I think, yeah, I don't want to get that far,
Some families have a tradition of going around the table and asking each person, including the children,
Yeah.
what are you thankful for?
Yeah, I like that. We've never done that. Yeah, I like that though.
Yep.
Kind of cool.
I think especially I've seen it with children. Sometimes they struggle. Well, I'm thankful for the new Nintendo game, and
Yeah.
but it does gets them in the frame of mind,
Right.
a habit of being thankful for
Right.
what they have.
And there are no preconceived thoughts with them. It's what's ever in their heart at that moment. Boop.
Yeah.
That's what they say.
So what should a good Christian do on that most sacred of all holidays, Black Friday?
Don't go to the mall. I don't. Do whatever you want to do. There's nothing evil or anything. It's a day. It's a day where sales happen, and now we have is it Cyber Monday or Cyber Tuesday? I don't see any. If you want to go shop on Black Friday, if you want to go to the mall and knock yourself out. I'll be at home in my recliner, but I'm not going to condemn you or say you shouldn't be doing that. If you want to go shop, go shop.
My late wife used to go with her sister-in-law and whatever other women happened to be in the house. Sometimes the guys would go, but it's mostly the women. And it was a big social occasion. They would get T-shirts that would say, Black Friday 2003.
Yeah.
And just go off. And she used to say it wasn't so much the process of buying something, but the fun of looking for bargains, of being with each other, going out for breakfast, and just hanging out and enhancing those family times.
Yeah. Kind of like some people will do the day after Christmas when they, I know some people who do that with 3 or 4 friends, and they go and they buy everything, Christmas cards and all that when it's 80% off. That's one of their days they look forward to. Okay. If you're happy, I'm happy, but don't ask me to go shopping.
Well, I want to kind of wrap things up for this month, but as always, I want to ask if there's anything that you would like to add or any question you want to kind of provide an answer to.
Just keep the questions coming. I'm enjoying this. This is fun. Keeps me on my toes and reminds people that I don't know everything. I'm just a pastor, I'm trying to muddle through the life like the rest of everybody else.
Well, very good. Well, folks who are watching today, that wraps it up for this month of our show, Go Ahead and Ask. You can find past shows by going to our First Presbyterian Church of Farmington website, clicking on the Watch on Demand videos, or by navigating to our YouTube page. Please submit questions at our YouTube page, or by just handing them to me or Bruce, or by emailing them to the church office. My name is Michael Rogers. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next month.